Hello and welcome to the How to Exit podcast, where we introduce you to a world of small to medium business acquisitions and mergers. We interview business owners, industry leaders, authors, mentors, and other influencers with the sole intent to share with you what it looks like to buy or sell a business. Let's get rolling. And now a moment for our sponsors. I want to highly recommend you get Acquisition Aficionado magazine. Every month, Acquisition Aficionado magazine brings you tactics for business buying and selling you won't find anywhere else. Learn firsthand from industry leaders who share their success stories, featuring in-depth interviews and stories from leading figures in the business acquisition industry. This multi-platform mobile magazine speaks to acquisition entrepreneurs wherever they are in the journey. And I want you to visit acquisitionaficionado.com today.
Hello, welcome to the brilliant, my friend Ronald Skelton's How to Exit podcast. My name's David Green, and we have chatted, Ronald and I, to put on a segment which we've called the M&A Q&A, with the sole idea of inviting entrepreneurs on to chat about what they're working on, any questions they may have, strategy they want to kind of discuss and talk about. And it's our first time doing this, and we think it could be a cool idea, just to reach out to an audience and say, you know, you're not alone. Other people are doing what you're doing. This is some of the stuff that's puzzling them. For all you guys that will listen to this in the States, I'm going to apologize in advance for my British accent, but that's the accent, and let's see if we can move past that. A bit of background about me. My name's David Green. Ron and I have known each other for quite some time now. I've been doing M&A for quite some time now, and we've built up a portfolio of properties. Now we're in our third continent. We're pretty strong in the UK, obviously. We've got businesses in the US and now in Asia. And so we're pretty active across our various platforms we use and industries. And we just thought this would be a cool idea. So we've got some guests with us today, and we're just simply going to go around and chat and see if we can, I don't know, put out any fires or any burning questions that they may have had, and see how we go. So without waiting any longer, let's bring in Thomas Emma from the UK. Unmute yourself, Thomas, and let's get going.
My passion is building groups of SMEs, and I want to ask you, when you build a group of SMEs, have you found any particular businesses that surprisingly play very well together?
Yeah, do you know something? Thank you for that. It's actually a brilliant first question, because something that we've done successfully in the UK, we're now doing the same in the US. And that's anything in the service space. Because when I say service space, it's business owners that have mechanical businesses, HVAC, electrical companies. They're normally owned by an older guy, someone who was a really good engineer and then went on to just be wanted by, people he'd served before, and they said, oh, she, let's have more of you. And so they had to get guys in to help them with the influx of work. And I'm a big fan of the B2B version of that. I just think when you're in the B2B space, you just tend to get far more contracted work, far more repeat business. That in itself will add value to that offering. And generally speaking, what happens is when you are in the B2B space, you're going to find that your avatar is either a buildings manager, a facilities manager, someone who looks after multiple sites. And you will find that if you own, let's say, an electrical business, when they put their phone down to you because they've got their company in to solve the 5-year testing or the LED upgrade, They're now on the phone to someone because the condensers are broken on the air conditioning units on the roof, or the filters need changing. So it's super smart to say to that customer, you have got that goodwill, which is largely the biggest asset in that business. You're going on and saying to them, hey, guess what? We now can do air conditioning because I bought an air conditioning company. We can now do your air conditioning. And if your relationship is good enough, you're now leveraging that relationship for more work. And as well as adding the smart move of buying companies and putting them into a holding company, you are subsequently double downing on that capital event by saying, I'm getting even more work. And what happens is, some years ago, I stopped hiring sales managers. Evidently, I'm a really, really bad employer of sales managers for whatever reason. I don't know why. I know sales really well, but I've literally just burnt many, many thousands of my children's inheritance, many thousands, by trying to employ sales managers. And for me, it's never worked. But actually, once you buy a company, you just have what we call business development managers, and their remit, their brief is to just go and be and hang around customers. And I just think if you understand that space and you're in that space, go and buy complementary businesses in the service space, because it's the easiest cross-pollination of anything I've worked on. Honestly, more than anything else, because they all need every single service for their building. They all need their lawns cut. They all need those being maintained. They all need their lifts serviced. They all need their BMS systems and for controls and stuff like that. They need all of that stuff. Legionella, all this stuff, water temps, they all need it done. And so you've literally got like a customer times 5 or a customer times 6 for every single service. And so the amount of times you can cross-sell just by having, my latest example, we did a piece on LinkedIn, was we recently acquired a commercial decorating company. We didn't do a big marketing campaign. We didn't do anything fancy, a new website, nothing like that. We just got the group that we put that into, we just got them, we just got our senior team, if you like, just going out with the retiring owners of the company we bought. And in under 2 weeks, off of the new customer base, an existing company that we own won an £80,000 electrical install job. Because you've got a customer base, you're just basically saying, oh, hi, we've recently just bought you, this is what else we do. And it's inevitable they say, oh, great, because we use this company, they're useless or whatever, we got too much work for them. And they just give you an opportunity to quote. And it happens time and time again. So I would say the service space, but I'm particularly passionate about commercial, because they just don't need to do, if you're in the B2C space, you just don't need as much, and there's just not as much complete opportunity. So for me, I think that's head and shoulders above. Not that the others are bad, but I think if you really want to hit a sweet spot with both an unlimited amount of acquisition opportunities, but as well as cross-selling opportunities, for me, that's the best one. Thanks, Thomas. Okay, Clemence. Oh, we've just had someone else join us. Hi, Sham. If you just wouldn't mind just staying on mute for a bit, we're recording live. So thanks for joining us. Oh, you are amazing. Clemence, over to you.
Okay, maybe just a quick intro. My name is Clemence Vicky.
Oh, your sound's not great, Clem.
Partner. Oh.
Let's mute you. Figure out what.
Is it okay now? I'll try.
Let's mute you for a second. Figure out what that is. You might need to just find a headphone or something. Let's move on. Luke, I've got you next on the screen.
Clemens, if you switch off the noise cancellation, this may improve the sound.
Right, Luke, you're in. If you unmute yourself.
So obviously, like David, akin to where I'm living, I'm actually based in South Florida and have been in the maritime luxury yachting space for the last 20 years, and found myself going into the whole M&A idea. I like the idea of being around people and done that. If you had to pick one thing, what would be the biggest mistake most people tend to fall into, or the biggest pitfall when they're first getting started?
Similarly to Clemens, the sound, we lost a little bit of your question, but you're talking about, so newly into M&A.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I talk about this a lot when I get invited. People kindly invite me to chat about this. I think a fundamental error that is made by people that are obviously super keen to get going, and they call it getting your first deal over the line, and they focus on that. And for me, that's a huge mistake. Actually, I think when you are looking to ask a business owner to entrust you, because even if you pay for something up front, most business owners are so focused, quite understandably, about the legacy of their business. Now, that doesn't even take into consideration any kind of deferred payment plan, any kind of deal structure. And so what has to happen is one has to build up credibility. And so one of the important ways that we can do that is by becoming a significant person in this space. And so we have to talk a great deal about what we're doing. We have to offer information out. We do it daily. We feel like we are a person in an M&A community, because when people are looking and checking you out, that they can see you're not someone who's just playing at this and you've got no credibility or no footprint. You're actually somebody who's involved in this community. You care about outcomes for people. And so I would always say to somebody, get your branding right, your presence right, define what type of investor you are. We talk a lot about that. And then the other thing, which is far more important, than I've had it so many times, I've had people say to me, I'm working on a certain project. Great. What else are you working on? Because it's really hard. It's really hard to get a merger or an acquisition done. There's a lot of moving parts. And so you need to be having lots of conversations. And they're the two, I think, consistent mistakes that people are making, where they're not focused on getting their own branding right. So, and LinkedIn is a great tool for that. Just constantly talking about what you're working on, what you're interested in. It could be, if you're in the tech space, keep talking about what's the latest thing out. AI is an obvious one, which is beyond me, but it's a great opportunity to just share with your audience things that you think will help them. It's really important.
Would you say, not so for anybody that's kind of starting out, it's not so much the deal itself, but it's building yourself up and building your confidence up and having the conversations would be the biggest mistake people are, they're going about it the wrong way.
So you're quite so building one's own confidence up to get them in front of business owners.
Yep.
Look, it's the best advice I can give to anybody is reach out and work with people that have that social proof, have done them before. You're not tied to them for life, but it's a great way of getting into this space. It's a really cool way of getting in and saying, I'm a part of this association, I've got this guy as my partner, and you know, there are lots and lots of experienced people out there. And take your time with that person, because just because you know one person, they may not be the right person for you for whatever reason. You're looking for a complementary skill set. And it's really important as well that when you're speaking to a business owner, and I guess this is another error people make, they're so quick to turn around and tell people what it is they do. But what it is you do may not be necessarily what someone needs. And so put a lot of energy into finding out what is someone trying to achieve in the short, mid to long term. It's their business, it's their life, it's their future. We are just passengers at that first brief moment. And so there shouldn't be anything to be nervous about, because you're just basically just getting in front of people and saying, you know, thanks for meeting me. It's always cool to find out about you and your business. It's also cool for me to find out what it is you're trying to achieve in this journey. What is it you're trying to achieve? And so I think you can be anybody to do that. You know, are you looking to grow? Are you looking to exit? Are you looking to exit now? Is it a big chunk of change you're looking for? Etc., etc., etc. And you only really find that out by having just really kind of normal conversations, I suppose, with business owners to find out what they're trying to achieve. And of course, reach out to people that you know. You're in I'm sure, several communities, and just say to people, I've got this great opportunity. I'm looking for someone who's an excellent marketer. I'm looking for someone who's an outstanding financial engineer. I'm looking for someone who's brilliant at tech. I'm looking for someone who's good at raising capital. You know, just find out what it is that person is trying to achieve, and then see if you're a good fit for each other, and you become JV partners. So I would leverage people that you know.
Awesome. Like it.
Thanks. Thanks, Luke. Okay, let's move on to Sten.
Yeah, hi there, David. Good to be here. It's a lot of questions to ask you, obviously, but just a little bit about how did you initially, the first deal you did, because you've done quite a few, how did you source and structure the first deal? How did it come about? What's the story there? And how has that changed to the more recent deal? And what has been your lessons through that journey?
Yeah, I mean, I actually like this question, because I like admitting that the first deal I did was such a spectacularly bad deal for me, to the point that, like, it started off really well, but you know, I borrowed really badly, because you know, there's that old saying, you just don't know what you don't know in life, and you just learn it as you go along. And I guess if you back yourself as someone who's, you know, persistent and hungry, and failing's not an option, then those mentalities, or that mentality, just forces you to teach you better ways of doing things, because nobody wants to keep doing things really badly. And so I bought a business for all good intentions, exactly the reasons I said before. I had an opportunity to win a contract. I didn't want to just outsource it, because I just felt I'm just giving value away. So let's go and find a company. So I just literally just started Googling companies, and then I went on to business websites, spoke to a few brokers. Funny enough, the one I found was offline. Actually, it wasn't an off-market opportunity. But again, I paid too much for it. I negotiated it relatively poorly, and I borrowed money from 2 sources. I mean, it was real. I'm not ashamed. I'm actually proud. I did a really bad job. And so if you fast forward a few years, but even by my second one, I bought the second one and did all the things I've talked about, by cross-pollinating and getting customers to speak to each other, and they grew. The second one I did, actually, I still didn't know what I know today, but why would I have done? And actually, I used a broker and said, go and find me a certain company. I paid a lot of money, and I far more money, much more money than I needed to have done. But the second deal, I remember saying to my CFO at the time, so I've got this idea. I know how to strategize this better now, and I'm going to offer them like a deferred payment only. And I wasn't in any community at the point. I had no mentor or no guidance. It just occurred to me, these guys want to sell. They want to retire. Let's offer them a no money down deal. And of course, the broker said, impossible, no chance. And so did my finance, and so did my CFO. And of course, I did it. And that company tripled in size just by pollinating it across something I already owned in 18 months. And then you just get better. So instead of having, then we used to use lawyers, spent 22,000 quid with, thick files, 80 pages long. And I guess the more you do, you immerse yourself in communities, learn new and better ways to do things. And now, of course, we've grown exponentially particularly in the last sort of 19 odd months. As I say, we're in really good shape. So if I look back to that first deal I did several years ago, yesterday in the States, we had heads of terms agreed on a $12 million roofing company. They're not signed yet, and I'm sure at some point someone will talk these people out of it. But they've agreed a no money down deal. We've paying them cash out of the business and the rest over 3 years. And that for me was inconceivable to have done that 4 years ago when I started. I didn't even think on that level. But your questions then, which is great, is really linked to what you've said, Luke, and that is because I've been able to build, I guess, my own credibility, proof of concept, social proof, etc. And so when people check me out, I look obviously very different, but that's taken a bit of time. And so there's no rush for anyone to get there straight away. But I do think you get there quicker when you JV with people that have experience. Is that good, Sten?
Yeah, really, really good. Thank you.
Okay, we'll circle back. Shan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sorry for the late, but thank you for the opportunity, David. I guess a lot of questions asked around deal flow, technology, impact on how the environment is, and that's a constant changing thing. That's the thing that's always going to change, your technique and your approach. But I think for me, a key question is based on your sort of experience, and I'm sure everyone experiences different through this journey, but based on your experience specifically, what are the sort of, some of the most sort of surprising sort of insights, or probably say lessons you've learned from the past M&A deals that aren't typically covered in textbooks or conventional wisdom, really? That's something I would really like to understand from your point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. So I think it's great how these questions are unraveling, actually, because I think whether you've noticed it or not, they actually form, it could be a book, these questions, because they actually form a line of how you start and how you progress. Because now what you're saying is, Shan, for me, what I've heard, or I think I've heard, is actually at the point where you're now progressing through this industry and you're doing perhaps better deals. I think, whereas when I first started, if I did growth opportunities for partnerships, so we might take some equity off somebody, we don't want any value behind it, but we do want a fee off of people. And I think probably 2 years ago, or 20 months ago, I would have been less. I'd put less value on that because I just wanted to have people, to get the habit of getting deals done. But now it would be a deal breaker for me because it's like anything. If you none of us value things properly if we're not paying for it, or we don't value it as much if we're not paying for it. So one of the biggest lessons I think I've learned is that value of if we're not buying something outright, if we've got a group, and we had 2 meetings about this today, we've got a pretty exciting growing digital market or marketing group, and I had 2 other meetings today with business owners, and what we're saying to them is, if you're not ready to exit yet, great, let's have some equity from you in our group. That will add value straight away because of the aesthetic, if you like, of being part of a bigger group. But we don't want any value behind that. So if your company's currently worth $1 million, your 70% is going to be worth $1 million, and we make our group top co-equity valueless. It's arbitrary. Great. So you've now got an experienced M&A guy as a partner who brings with him CFOs, who brings with him marketing skills, deal flow. We've probably got around the world now, or sorry, 3 continents, 115, 120 live opportunities. We bring all that to the table. You're going to have to pay a monthly subscription to be a part of it, because if we don't, your skin's not in the game. You've got all of our infrastructure. We're keen to grow the equity value, so our equity isn't arbitrary. But if we're saying to you, no, there's nothing, you're not paying anything, then I just don't think we get the same kind of energy and focus, sharpened pencil, I might call it, from our new acquired business partner. So the evolution of when you first start to as you go along, I think you should become a bit more bullish about certain criteria in the relationship. I'm hoping I've answered it correctly. You said tech, and I switch off when I hear the word tech, but I think that's what I heard, Shan. Feel free to kind of correct me if I've not answered correctly.
Yeah, no, I think you've answered it in a way that's you've answered it in a way that makes logical sense. But I think there's a lot of things that you have to go through certain hoops. You got to do get your messaging right. You got to get your target addressable and service addressable market of your resonance of your own brand, your digital presence. But my question was, from your sort of conversations you've had with all the different business and business owners, what is the conventional wisdom? And textbooks don't cover that. They cover about how to do a deal potentially, or how to value a company. But mine was more understanding your own personal brand of understanding of what typically textbooks don't cover, and what's your experience been like? Pretty much putting into David Green's matrix of their mind of how things go through and what you've learned and what you've matured is what I'm trying to understand from where you were. That was more my question.
Yeah. Look, I mean, people could potentially accuse me of maybe being a bit of a one-trick pony, because I've kind of used. I'm quite passionate about connecting with people, and I think what you're basically saying to somebody, we were talking about this earlier. What you're basically doing is you're affecting change. You're making a change. You're trying to make a change from someone's current reality to the reality that you are trying to achieve. And it's impossible to do that. I think it's impossible to do that unless you build up a connection and rapport with somebody. Even if someone says, I want $1 million for my business, you agree it's worth $1 million, and you give them $1 million. I think if you haven't built up rapport, the deal won't happen. So because people in the SME world, it's not like the corporate world where they want to trust you. They want to know, great, I've got my money, but what's that going to happen to my customers, my staff, my suppliers? Because you don't seem very connected. And so I know of a very real life experience where someone I know pretty well, he was actually brokering a deal for somebody, and they were paying a lot of money, but they were terrifying the retirees, the soon-to-be retirees, because they spoke so corporately, and the guys that were selling didn't feel the energy was going to continue from what they built, and they couldn't quite trust that they would look after the staff in the same way that they had always looked after them. And ironically, the person who was brokering the deal had built up over 6 months great connection, and in the end, he turned around when they said we don't want to sell to him, and he was earning a lot of money. He was earning about 100,000 out of the deal. In the end, he turned around and says, "What if I buy it?" They ended up selling to him for half the money they were originally getting, and on a soft deal as well. A soft deal. They were happy to earn it out because he'd taken the time to get to know them, get to understand them, what they really wanted to achieve. And so anytime I get asked to now 3-4 events. I think I've done 3 so far this year alone. I've got another one in a few months' time. And I always get asked, come and talk about rapport building, because people that know me know maybe I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. But I think it's important because you're saying to someone, this is their life's work.
It's
Trust me with your life's work. It's like it's more to. I think men are a bit worse than women in as much that you could probably say to a guy, by the way, your kid's overweight and ugly, and they'd probably but they'd punch you if you offended their business. So it's super important to be really respectful of someone's life's work. You wouldn't say to an artist, I suppose, you're painting rubbish. You just got to be really super respectful. And I think that's, from all the people I speak to, that's not quite, that message people don't dive in deep enough and understand that, in my opinion.
Just one final thing I think to add, that you're absolutely right. I think what you're trying to say is that, and I remember this quote where, for the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. And I think by doing them is how you mature yourself. So thanks.
100%. 100%. Thanks, Sham. Right, Clemence, should we try again with you? I'm hoping you'll get a thumbs up or a thumbs down if we're struggling. Oh.
How's it going? Is it working?
It seems like it is at the moment.
Okay. I'll take it. So I just reading an article by Forbes, and the title is "It's Nonsense to Think You Can Buy a Good Business for Zero Money Down." I wanted your thoughts on that, but then are kind of 2 in 1. A lot of the
we are struggling to hear you. I'm so sorry. Type your question in and I'll try and answer it. There's a chat. Please up on mute. I'm so sorry. Oh. Okay, let's go over to Abanike. I hope I haven't butchered your name, Abanike. Tell me if I have. But come and join us. Stay on camera, man. Let's see you.
I think you did okay. That's close enough. I think my question is strong too, so I don't know if I'm clear enough. Am I clear?
You're really soft.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm struggling. We're struggling to hear you.
Yeah, the reception is a little. It's not getting through.
No, this is difficult.
Time connecting. Yeah.
Sorry, Abanike. I'm so pleased you joined us, but we're struggling to hear you, my friend.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
No worries. Keep listening in. Let's go round again. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to. Oh, hold on. Okay, Clemence. Let's read out Clemence's question. Thomas, I'll come back to you in a second. What do you think about the title of the Forbes article? It's nonsense that you can buy a good business for no dollar down. Is that a separate question? Do I read number 2 first, or shall I answer that first one? I'll answer that one first, shall I? So I guess it's contextual. It depends what I might think is a good business. Forbes might think is, not even worth small change. I don't know, but and it also depends. It depends what you mean by buy, because we've got lots of 30% equities in different companies, and we haven't paid for them. But guess what we've done? We've made the owners 70% more valuable now than it was when it started. We've also bought, well, we've got heads of terms agreed on a $12 million roofing company making $2.5 million a year in profit. I think that's a good business, and it will enable us. It will enable us now to go out to the market and say to, once we've signed the SPA, once we've signed the contract, it will enable us to go out to other businesses in that sort of construction roofing space and say, hey guys, we now own this company. We're looking now to grow. Can we merge with you? Can we put you together in a holding company and grow this asset? So for little old me, you know, born in the East End of London, left school at 15, used to work in the market selling clothes and whatnot. You know, I think you can buy businesses for good businesses for no money. But I think maybe, you know, if you want to buy something with 9 figures in, you might need to raise a lot of capital. So it's probably a good point. Okay, the second one, what would you say to some of the people I know acquiring businesses through personal guarantees as part of their deal structure? So I would say do not do that. Definitely do not give personal guarantees under any circumstances whatsoever. It's a spectacularly bad idea. I did it years ago when I didn't realize it was such a spectacularly bad idea, and didn't enjoy the experience whatsoever. I got it sorted, of course, but didn't enjoy it. Would never do it again. So what we've done, what we do with people is we say to them, look, we'll happily give you a warranty over the group it's going in, a lien or something. We're even doing this roofing deal. We're saying to them, when we do the deal, keep 80% of the equity, just put 20% in our group, even though effectively we own it. And as we make stage payments, we release equity on your liens. We don't need to do more than that. So you're still in equitable control, and they seem quite happy with that. But under no circumstances would I advocate anybody signing a PG whatsoever, because you know, you don't know what you don't know. People that signed PGs in January 2020 didn't know they were 4, 5, 6 weeks away from you know, a global pandemic, and all of a sudden, through no fault of their own, they've compromised everything. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that. Don't think about it. Thomas, this is a good way of doing it, guys. Feel free to type questions in the chat.
Go ahead. To me, you are the Yoda of building rapport.
Yes.
And I have a very tricky question.
Okay.
I'm working on building a group now, and one of the possible businesses to join apparently is a fierce competitor. And the question is, but they're very good when they're together. The question is how to approach this and convince them to bury all weapons and work together with a old competitor to build something together.
I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, I tend to avoid anything that feels like aggravation, if truth be told. And there's an unlimited amount of opportunities out in the market, and so I would tend, because you just don't know, something could erupt again, couldn't it? And so you know, we know about crises around the world. Relationships can be quite tentative, can't they? So no, I think if I've understood the question correctly, if you've got a target company you're having good conversations with, they get the strategy, they want to be a part of it, and there's an obvious add-in that you've identified, but the chemistry doesn't work, do not add that in. I wouldn't, personally. I mean, I've I think I've largely stuck with 3 really simple golden rules, and that is, do I like the business? Does it excite me? Is the what do I like the business? Does it excite me? The second one is, do I think I can add value? And I think the most important one of those 3 is, do I like the person I could be working with? And that's true, obviously, the other way around. But that's also true of if you're bringing another company into the group, are they going to like each other? So that's a golden rule for me. In fact, I've got a very quick story on that. One of the groups we're looking to build is a tech group, and we're talking to several companies in cybersecurity, SaaS businesses, and we're talking about 5 or 6 companies now. We'd had about 4 or 5 meetings with one of the cybersecurity companies, and actually they were the biggest ones of all the ones we were talking to, doing really well. We'd met the CEO, the CFO, the COO, I think the MD. We'd met several of them. We had several good conversations. And then they said, we just need you to meet our CTO. And that meeting finished, and then myself and the partners that are involved had a meeting afterwards. And they started between them on the Zoom strategizing about the next move for this company. And I said, guys, stop right there. We're not pursuing it with this company, because I can tell you, talented as this CTO is, no one will get on with him. Nobody will get on with him, and he'll upset the other partners. And we can't afford for that to happen. And so, there are some things for me are non-negotiable. And if someone comes in with a bit of an ego, a bit of an attitude, I'm the cleverest person in the room, all that stuff, it's no good to you. So I would avoid, if there's a slightest chance that there could be some toxicity in a relationship, whether it's you and an owner or them and another owner, do not do it. It's just not worth it. It doesn't work, actually. Things will generally just fall apart. Okay, I've got another question here. I think this is from you, Abaniki. What's the best way to, I'm guessing that's net or bet, no SBA financing. What's the one thing that would make angels rather than interest in financing your deal? How would you avoid giving personal guarantees? Most lenders require personal guarantee for loans. Okay, so look, it's quite a broad question there, and there's a couple of things going on with us at the moment. We're currently building, hopefully launching in the States, our first one early next year, our own coaching module, our own coaching 2-day event. And we were going through this very thing yesterday. You have to identify, firstly, what type of investor you are. Are you someone who's happy to raise capital? Are you somebody that just wants to just focus on soft, no money down deals, building up groups with small pieces of equity where you can add value? And once you've determined that, you must make sure that your audience knows it. You have to portray that to the world. This is what I am. Don't say you are someone who buys companies if you are acting as an associate partner that's bringing stuff together. Really be honest and describe exactly who and what you are. And once you've established that, fantastic. And there's a whole bunch of different investors you could characterize yourself as. I know in the States, because I had a meeting about this till late last night, there's SBA financing is really an exciting way of doing it. They're funding startups. For me now, the best way to do it is just tell the lender, you're not getting a personal guarantee for me, and be prepared to walk away if they're not prepared to do it. They generally might, if you can prove and if you can't prove concept, JV with the company that can prove concept, proof of life. And so what you're doing is you're bringing great value to that, because you're bringing a deal opportunity and you're speaking to an SBA funder, but you're saying, I just need to JV with you to add some credibility to myself and what I'm trying to do. But be prepared to be quite bold with lenders and saying, look, this is the opportunity. Happy for you to take a charge over the business. Of course I am. But yeah, definitely don't give personal guarantees, as I said before. Thanks for that question. Was there another one from anybody? Cool. Luke.
This throws it straight back in your court. Obviously, you don't know what you don't know when you get started and all this sort of stuff. So with the skills that you had when you started out, what do you think has been the most beneficial that you've learned? Or do you think someone, or more specific to you, what do you think you've learned that's been beneficial to you?
Yeah, look, cards on the table. I haven't been unsuccessful in this space, and I think I would put that down to my ability to really connect with people and be authentically interested in people's lives and their businesses. And I think people that work with me that are, you know, particularly good at deal sourcing and particularly good at maybe the financial engineering will be the first ones to admit that actually the power bit is connect with people, really. And it's important to remember there has to be some authenticity in this. There's no point just faking it and then you get to the next meeting, you know, you've met someone's connected with you and said, oh, I lost somebody, I lost my dog, or I lost my aunt, or whatever. And then you meet with them a week later and you've forgotten all about that, and you're saying, oh, how's your week been? When you know that they've been, you know, that just shows your someone's lack of authenticity. And so I think that's been maybe a strength of mine, perhaps my whole life, my ability to be, you know, genuinely, and also giving value to others. I think the more I focused on that, which I've done pretty much all my business career, I think the more comes back. Just take this room alone. There's what, 6 of us here, right? Imagine if we were all partners bringing a unique skill together. Now compare that to you doing it on your own.
You can't.
So what happens is if you, Luke, for example, stop focusing on yourself and go, I'm going to put all my energies into the other 5 people in this partnership. So that means our individual progression has now gone up 5-fold, because I've got 5 people in this room all focusing on David Green. So I don't have to worry about me anymore because I've got you guys doing it. Now the same to you. I'm not worried about me anymore because I've got all these people, these really talented people, all focused on making sure I do well in my space. So instead of one person fighting for themselves to do really well, you've now got 5 people. It could be deal sourcing, financial engineering. Someone might be good at capital raising. Someone's really good at negotiation. You go, I'm really good at whatever, you know, deal sourcing, let's say. And so all of a sudden you've got all of these skill sets focused on you. So you don't have to worry about you anymore. So I would say that's a concept I've known perhaps throughout my career, and I've championed it in businesses I've owned. To just don't be self-serving. Just work with people you really respect. Work with people you think will add value back.
Would you also say be willing to walk away?
Pardon?
Would you also say be willing to walk away?
I have done because you're going to come across people that are self-serving and they don't get the concepts that we champion. So I have walked away on more than one occasion. You know, I mean, one example of me walking away was I'd agreed 2 deals myself, brought in a JV partner for complementary value, that they could complement the things I was doing. And we set up a weekly meeting to talk about A, what we'd agreed, deals we've got, and B, new stuff on the table. And I'd log in. I pride myself on being punctual. I logged in, and 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, nothing. Started sending messages. And all of a sudden, 20 past, oh, sorry, can we push this back an hour? And this became a habit. And eventually I said, you're not my partner anymore, because you just have this idea that your time is more valuable than my time. And it could be something as simple as that just doesn't sit well with me. I think integrity is everything in life, let alone business. And so if you're going to JV with someone, I think it's important that you offer the best version of you, constantly give that, and take yourself away from that situation if you're not getting it back, rather than trying to get someone to change. So I've walked away from several, yes. Thanks, Luke. Clemence, what are some common pitfalls during the due diligence process that can derail a deal, and how can that be avoided? So one of the obvious ones is value. I have a lot of fun sometimes when a business is worth, say, $500,000, and they say, well, I want $10 million. I often say to them, and it does make them laugh, it breaks the ice. I often say to someone, well, I want my own talk show. We all want things. Whether you're going to get something that's so much, almost 20 times its current valuation is, it's unlikely to be me. And I could work for the next 15 years and not get your business to that value. So that's a very common, it's valuation. The other one is multiple people in someone's ear. So if you're getting in front of a business and there's 4 shareholders, my advice is wish them well and move on to the next one, because you're always going to get one that's not happy with the deal, doesn't like it, complains. So multiple shareholders is another one. They're a constant pitfall. How to avoid that? Don't get involved. The most we've ever done is 3. And yeah, that wasn't easy, but we had strategies that got us around it. We were raising capital, etc. 1 is fantastic, 2 is manageable. But certainly, when you get to multiple business owners, it's a problem. Funny enough, I got an email yesterday from somebody to tell me that a business we were looking at last year was a recruitment company. They were struggling, which all recruitment companies were at the time. I think some still are to a degree. But we offered them a structure which enabled us to get it into a group, help it grow, and they could have some shared profits. And they had this idea, they wanted 150,000 quid. And again, I said, look, I want my own talk show. We all want things, but would you pay 150,000 yourselves for this? Would you? And they both say both. There was 3 of them, and they all agreed they wouldn't. But they couldn't get past the way we were structuring it, which would have been the best outcome for them. And I got an email yesterday to tell me that company had now gone into administration, which we could have helped them avoid, just because they couldn't get past. And that was 3 of them. And there would have been one of them, and I know which one it was as well. There would have been one of them that would have been nagging away at the other 2, both super keen to do the deal we put on the table. So multiple shareholders is often a problem. And yeah, look, you've then got to overcome their lawyer, their advisor, their best mate, their friends at the golf club, their friends at racquetball, their accountant, their husband, their wife, all these experts who have never bought or sold a company in their lives, all of them giving them great advice, which is often not the best advice for them, but people just readily give advice, which is why this space is not easy. It's not. So, but that's hard to avoid, and just don't do them maybe, because if you go down a route, the inevitable could happen. From Sten, how do you structure those partnerships? So you would put, the way we do it for most cases is when you create a group that you're putting a company in, and say you've got 30%, you simply just you make your own special purpose vehicle. So you might have Sten Holdings Limited. So instead of you being a shareholder of that group structure, make your Sten Holdings the equity holder of that structure. And that just keeps you a little bit of arm's length from the relationship in many ways, because your company's a shareholder, not you. But that's how we structure it. But there's, there will be other ways, but that's how we do it. Cool. Any other questions? Clemence?
No. Clemence, you try one more time.
Are you typing? Are you really going to try and speak?
Let's see if it works. I was asked how no.
You type away again. I'm hoping they can edit this well. Luke, did you have another question? Don't worry if you didn't. I thought you were.
No, I did, and then I realized. Obviously, knowing your buy box is one thing, but are there any industries that you would not go near, like government or?
Not necessarily government. I had a meeting with a guy about a month ago, and he had I think it was like a visa processing company. So my brain automatically goes whenever I'm in front of somebody is I need to identify what I call the low-hanging fruit, or what we all call the low-hanging fruit. So remember I talked about with Thomas's question earlier, what do I think is the best one? You've got B2B facility companies that need all those different services, buy the different services and get them all talking. Great. So low-hanging fruit, because you just win. There are win-wins all across the board. When you're talking to companies that you're struggling to, so I was offered a guy that owned a tailoring business, and for the life of me, yes, you could buy more tailoring businesses, but for the life of me, A, I don't wear suits. B, I couldn't get excited about it, and C, where's the added value? Where's that quick cross-sell pollination? So anything, and it's quite subjective because someone may have been brought up by a tailor and go, oh, I really love that. It's been my lifelong passion to own one. But in the absence of that, if you look at a company and you say, right, can I see a really quick fix? Yeah, they're not doing any marketing. Great. Let's go and find a JV partner brilliant at marketing. So what are the quick wins that cost no money, but you can literally leverage what they're not doing? What we call it is business owners, particularly when they get close to retirement, they leave a lot of money on the table. So there are quote opportunities coming in, which they don't rush to do because they don't need the money anymore. They just want out. They're disengaged, they're switched off a bit. And of course, someone who's younger, hungrier, more energy, wants to grow a group, all of a sudden you ruffle all the staff up saying, hi, you've met me now, I'm the new owner. We want to do great things here. And all of a sudden you re-energize the place. And we've done that multiple times with retirees. And you just see revenue grow pretty quickly, actually. So, yeah, that's... there's another question that's come in. Oh, Clemence, with a dodgy sound. How has your vision grown since you started in M&A? So massively, to the point where I started on my own. I told you the first one I did, I built a company that borrowed loads of money, did a really spectacularly bad job. But that was like £500,000 HVAC business. The second one I did, which was a really good job, was a little £300,000-400,000 electrical company. And we're now doing, so in our investment house, we've got 14 associate partners. We're on 3 continents. We've got an unlimited amount of deal opportunities through the different partnerships we're building and have built. And we can also now, with we have a funding placement agency, so it allows us to raise capital on businesses of a certain size. So I guess I see myself as unrecognizable from sort of David Green that started. But that would be true surely of any evolution. That would be true if you went to work for a company. What you did on your first, when people first started years ago, you were in charge of post, and you put the franking machines and you put stuff on that, and then you go to do the banking or something like that, and then hopefully a few years go by and you can promoted again. So no different, no different to all of our careers, but certainly unrecognizable, and it doesn't take forever. But just, yeah, I've just surrounded myself with, I guess, like-minded people that just want to give of themselves. And I've pretty much done that, since I've been doing what I do. So yeah, wholesale changes. Anyone else?
Just ask quickly, what are things that you are currently looking for or, need from the community and stuff like that? M&A community.
So we are, we're in, just probably 7 or 8 different industries now off the top of my head. And honestly, nothing. We're always looking for more associate partners to come and join us, but people have to exhibit certain characteristics and qualities. I've turned people down, and if that offends, we don't mean to, but we've built a pretty cool infrastructure, and also I've had people inside this community, and I've also got them out of the community. And that's just because, for reasons given earlier, surround yourselves with people that care about you and are on the same, have the similar visions to you. This is not much different to a marriage. Most people will know or have experienced those bad relationships in life. And we're saying, just surround yourself with people that just have those shared values, shared goals. There's no point if you want to be someone who just only wants to focus on no money down deals in the facility space, partnering with someone who has a way of leveraging money in real estate. You're just not aligned, and you're both good at rapport building. That makes no sense. But if you're someone who's outstanding at tech, but not very good at closing, not very good at the financials, surround yourself with people and that's largely how I built, I guess, our tiny little investment space, I guess. And that's, the best advice I can give there. Just surround yourself. And also, I don't think you need loads of partners. I think just find a handful of people that you work really well with. And one step at a time, really, just one step at a time. I don't think you need loads. I think that's nonsensical, because as long as you know who you are and what you want to achieve, and then you find someone who complements that, like I say, if you know how to do most of the stuff, you don't want to do the financials, find yourself a partner that does all the accountancy stuff, all the financial engineering, and that's it. You don't need anyone else. Thanks, Den. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Great. I'm just messaging to say we're almost done. Guys, look, thank you so much. Thank you for being our guinea pigs in our first M&A Q&A. I hope people listen to it and get something out of it. We need to figure out how to make sure we don't have sound issues in the future, so we'll do a lot more testing. Perhaps that's one of the things we can take from this. I hope it was useful to you guys as well. And this is Ronald Skelton's How to Exit podcast, M&A Q&A segment. Okay, we can talk freely now until Ron stops the recording. I've told him we're finished, so he'll log on in a moment and stop the recording. And we can talk freely because the reason I counted down to 5 is so they've got something to edit and cut off from. But thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I think it
Yeah, we can't. That's fine. I'm so sorry. We just bear with us before you log off, because I know, Sham, you weren't here.
I think we need to leave the session, the browser open.
Pardon?
This is what Ronald said. We need to keep the browser open. because
Okay.
the recording is local and he needs to trigger something.
Okay. So if people want to leave, they can leave. Is that right, Thomas?
Yes.
Fine.
Just-
Okay, I'll keep the
They can
browser
leave.
open.
But I think everybody has to get the computer open until the recording stops, or
Yes.
even just up, like the upload.
Yes. I guess the screen will change.
I've messaged him. I'm sure in the next minute or so he'll see the message and he'll just log back on. Yeah, I just don't understand why I don't have. He's made me a partner in his how to exit, and we couldn't figure out why I couldn't be an admin. So if Ron could work out, it's my fault.
Can we not leave the session, or you mean just leave the session and leave the browser open? I'm confused.
Just leave the browser and we need to WhatsApp him that we are done so he can press
I've
the
messaged him already.
Okay.
button. Mhm. Okay. Till next time.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Sten, how are you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm all right. Keeping
So-
busy.
I had a really interesting meeting last night in the States with a guy that we're partnering with on a couple of things. And
Yeah.
he has a big oil and gas background. And so we're really keen to get Romeo on a call.
Yeah. He's in Turkey, but he said it's accessible, so we can do that. Does this oil and gas guy have access to funds as well, or what is his more expertise in the area?
Specialist in funds.
Yeah, some serious funds in the Bs.
Yeah. Someone who specialises in it. But I don't think
Right.
you need that 1.5 billion straight away. You said
No,
you
I think you can go in from 200, 250, I think, minimum, and then grow from there.
I've got a
Let's get
guy
on a
in,
meeting.
Is born, but I had a lot of conversation with some other people in that space, and they have various ideas about this. But yeah, but I think that
I got one guy that I used to
maybe
work for.
Friday.
What's that, Luke?
I was thinking of a guy that's in transport for oil and gas. That was big in that. There's a couple
Amazing.
guys.
Yeah,
If
feel
there's-
free, engage, and we'll get them in front of somebody who, again, he's got a funder that specialises in this stuff.
What are they? Do you know what their box? I don't know whether this guy's ready to exit yet, but I know that he just. The problem was last time he did one, he got bought out, and I think most of it got taken in shares, and then the holding company devalued by 75%, so he got fucking burnt. But I know he's ready to go. He's probably going to be ready to go again.
What does he need? Then?
So,
What is he looking for?
yeah, I
I
think
don't know the size yet.
just encourage him. Look, he's got nothing to lose. Just have a conversation, so we get to understand what he needs or what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Look, the reality of it is in institutional raises, probably 95% of them fail. So,
Yeah.
but that must mean, there is a lot of money that goes into the 5% of requests. So, I just think it's always worth a conversation.
Always.
Cool.
Right. Thank you. Always.
Thanks, Luke.
Next.
All right, Sten. I mean, I don't know.
Because I believe here I'm out of Wi-Fi. I think so. I don't know what that is. If I need to be on or sit here. What are you working on now? You're working on a lot of things, obviously, but
Man,
what aren't you working on?
so much.
This funding thing you have this is it for the new thing is funding you mentioned the
Yeah.
access funding vehicle kind of thing. What is
Yeah.
that about?
it's a funding placement agency.
Mm.
So it's a really exciting product we have.
Yeah.
It's not quite ready for M&A because it's not really raised capital for M&A before. So we need to just pivot the company, which we're focusing on doing. And so we might need 3-6 months, and then it should be. Well, we'll do a whole marketing campaign once it's ready, and we will really leverage it in this space. But it's really it's a really exciting addition to our portfolio.
It's very exciting because then ultimately you're solving one of the biggest issues in the M&A space and many other places as well. But I mean, it's like the funding. If you can solve that, it's massive.
Huge. Well, we think we can.
Yeah.
We think we're going to be front and center once we do.
Yeah.
And so we're literally just building it and getting it ready.
Yeah.
Not everyone, and again, just because we own it, not everyone will qualify. We'll do our due diligence differently via that platform. Excuse me. We'll do that really differently and do a few stages of due diligence. But once we've got all that right, then yeah, exciting stuff.
Very. We talked about that today about impact businesses and creating sort of ecosystem around that, and with this lady who were fighting Russian counterintelligence, but that is daytime. It was a day job, and then I'm going to have lunch with her next week. She did a lot of things, but very much in European Parliament and the rest of it. But we talked about this with other people involved in impact-based businesses. But it's the whole thing: how do you structure it, and how do you vet them, and how do you screen them, how do you do diligence them, and then phase them into some kind of sort of platform that they grow step by step and get the service and things support along the way.
So yeah, there's
presenting it very well.
We can do to eke out the stuff that's no good to us and we can't help, and then just take business owners through a series of due diligence on them and the business to see if we can. So we've got a number of ideas. We've got a number of ideas, and like I say, it's not ready yet. We couldn't do it now because it's not geared up for it. It doesn't have the infrastructure, and so it just doesn't work.
It's a massive undertaking, though, isn't it? But getting getting it right, it's very exciting. Because that's where everybody's like, oh, how do I find my ideas? How do I, when they need some funding? And if there's a good deal, but they can't get this, so especially the gap funding part, everyone can get asset funding or something, but if you don't,
we're working on that. We think we have an idea, and we're figuring all that out. And so, look, watch this space. Hopefully we'll achieve what we're trying to achieve, and hopefully we'll do what we're trying to achieve, and then, we're figuring that out. Where's Ron? Oh, excuse me. Where's Ronald?
It's disappeared.
He's getting in. He just texted me.
Good.
He's just getting in now.
So he's going to shut it down on his end then somehow.
Yeah, it's not the recording. I hope when they listen to it back, they can make, we kind of segue past the poor quality sound from people.
But I'm sure he has his editing team, hasn't he? So she just cut and paste and make it look good. Make us all look good.
Exactly. Me especially.
You will do what you can, isn't it? No, that's good. It's
This is
tricky.
really
When
fun.
then someone came sitting just behind me, having starting this interview or something, and like, boom, 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 like, oh god, I keep the move. It was so quiet when I started, and now, that's how it
This is
is.
definitely an exciting space to work in for sure.
How do you do this? When you do like legal due diligence and those kind of things, do you have some clever arrangement with the law firm that comes in and does it for a bit of equity or something, or do you just?
So not yet, but we're working on that as well for sort of bigger deals. So for bigger deals, we're using lawyers, but we're just putting some parameters in place so they don't tickle. We don't tickle their bellies.
Yeah.
But for smaller, no money down deals, you just don't really need them. You just got your agreements. You just write them up.
Yeah.
One of the clauses in there states this offer or this agreement is based on information provided to us at the time of signing. And so you've just got your ways of having to exit should you need to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tired. I'm tired, man. So yeah. That's clever what you've got. You've got an email automated thing that thanks people for their time in a meeting.
Yeah, I do it in Zapier. So I realized it's sort of a standard stuff, but everybody asks, okay, how do you connect to you then? And what's your WhatsApp and everything, and just send it out. And then I try to make it look as good as possible or good enough. It's more about making things look good enough than doing it look amazing, because it's never going to be super.
Very important. It's very important. Really important. Are you in a hotel somewhere?
Yeah. This should be my sweet, shouldn't it? But it isn't. No, I am. Yeah, I'm in North Greenwich. I was in Canary Wharf, and I thought I'd sit somewhere, because I move around and have a few calls. I might sit here as well. And yeah, I'm supposed to see my daughter, but well.
Gosh. Not as late as last night. Honestly, I was sitting in a meeting at 11 o'clock last night. I finished in the States.
That's the very latest, isn't it? I did one as well, also 11. That was the latest. I don't do later than that anymore. It's stupid. because you're so tired. I'm so tired at 11.
Yeah.
You can't be like super productive. It's more like going through things or something. We'll see.
He's struggling to get in.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get him on a call. Where is this other guy? He's based in West Coast, East Coast? Because he's gonna be.
I think it's like Pittsburgh, which I think is just below New York.
Yeah, so East
and
Coast.
New Jersey.
5 hours ish. So like from
12 East Coast.
11 maybe. No, 1 o'clock UK time would be good, maybe. Onwards.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 no, even later than that. I have to do my US meetings from 2 o'clock onwards.
Yeah. You can do evening time.
Yeah,
let me do it 2 times a month for you.
I have my first meeting like 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to make a habit of being up till midnight with these our cousins on the West Coast.
No.
But from between 2 and 5, that's enough time for the that's fine. I find that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Australia in the morning, isn't it? I don't do that much.
Well, I'm on Zoom to Asia at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because they're like 6 odd hours ahead of us, 7 hours ahead of us. So
UAE
I literally go.
Yeah.
I spend the first 2 or 3 hours often on calls in Singapore or Indonesia, and then UK stuff in Europe, and then by the time I get to mid-afternoon, it's US. It's great. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the fun part. It's like that you sort of structure different days. I did it. So UAE is like 3-4 hours, 5 hours, isn't it? So you can do them in the morning and then US in the evening, and then someone in the West Coast to sort of destroy everything. Do it very late or very early, very late.
I've just said to Ron to text me once he's in because I need to go to the bathroom and think my dinner's ready as well.
Next meeting.
Great to see you, Sten. I'm going to mute myself and switch my camera off. And
yeah,
great to see you, buddy. Thank you for taking part. It's really kind.
Yeah, happy to be here. Always happy to support.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. You too.
I want to announce our new channel partners, the ITX Marketplace. Since 1998, ITX has created $5 billion in value by selling more than 225 IT businesses in 20 countries. ITX works exclusively with IT-enabled businesses generating between $5 million and $30 million who are ready to be sold, and M&A decision makers who are ready to buy. For over 25 years, ITX has developed industry knowledge that helps determine whether a seller is a good fit for their buyers before making the match. ITX Mergers and Acquisition Marketplace we have partnered with has a proprietary database of 50,000 plus global buyers seeking IT service firms, managed service providers, Microsoft service providers, software as a service platforms, and channel partners with Microsoft, Oracle, ServiceNow, and the Salesforce space. If you have an IT-enabled business you're ready to sell, I want you to visit the IT ExchangeNet.com/marketplace. How to exit. That link will be in the show notes. Visit them now.